ToonGrin.com.
I told you I would get you one day. I'm going to have you two placed in separate classes. I'm going to annihilate your friendship.
George, do something. Put the pen down, Mr. Krupp, or we'll hypnotize you.
Start me.
What's happening? I don't know. When I snap my fingers, you will obey our every command. You are now the amazing Captain Underpants!
Tra-la-la!
Welcome to Watchin' Stuff, the show about watching stuff. I'm NERO, and with me is my Canadian counterpart, WHYBOY.
Underwear.
And today we're... Okay.
Yeah.
Just got diving in like that. I mean, we didn't... Like, no build-up, nothing. Just
Just like, this is... for a lot of people, you know that this was one of the movies that I was dreading the most.
I don't know why. I mean...
Because I was just not a fan of the Captain Underpants comics. Like, I read them, it was just like... These are dumb. These look ugly, like, in comparison to all the other comics that I love, like Calvin and Hobbes and such. It's just like... No. Throw it on the ground, walk away.
Well, sadly, it's not like we'll ever get a Calvin and Hobbes movie, because the guy who created that doesn't want, like, merchandising off of it.
Yeah, it's just like he was adamant about that.
I don't know why. Calvin and Hobbes sounds like that'd be an awesome movie.
Yeah, I would love a movie just a little short of it. It's just like,
I would just be happy with, like, an anthology flick of, like, Spaceman Spiff.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That'd be pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, but we're on to Captain Underpants, though. Which is...
In terms of DreamWorks, like... Do you think they should do more adaptations then on other properties? Like, Shrek was a book, this was a book.
Most of their stuff was books. Like, How to Train Your Dragon was a book. I think Home was a book. Even though that's not a good example. Mr. Peabody and Sherman was an adaptation of the cartoon. Basically, a lot of their stuff is just adaptations.
Yeah, it kind of is, isn't it? I don't think they've ever made an original property. Well, I guess Monsters vs. Aliens, right? That was...
Yeah, that was an original property.
Look how great that masterpiece was.
Yeah, I can't really think of the top of my head any sort of
Kung Fu
original
Panda?
ones. Yeah, Kung Fu Panda was definitely original. And
It was basically every Kung Fu-esque trope just shoved into a film.
Right.
Yeah. With Captain Underpants, for you guys who don't know, Captain Underpants is a book series about two kids, Harold and...
George.
And they're two kids who basically write their own comic book, and their comic book is about a superhero named Captain Underpants. He's got the basic origin of Superman, doomed planet, sent to another world, raised by dolphin farmers.
Yeah.
Again, little kids wrote this stuff. And he deals with weird, artistically bizarre supervillains.
Yeah, they're all basically just centered around, like, toilet humor and such.
Yeah. Which, in and of itself, it sounds terrible when you stop and think about it. It's like that, no joke, I did read about this. There's a book called Walter the Farting Dog.
Oh, my God.
And there is talk, no joke, there's been talk for quite some time now that they want to make a film.
No.
And they want to get the Jonas Brothers involved.
You know what, I hope the Jonas Brothers just act as just farts. Just each time
they kind of disappeared.
Out. Yeah, it's like, hey guys, Jonas away.
But that's the thing, is like, okay, we're under the understanding by this point, especially after the Emoji Movie, anything and everything can now officially be made into a film, whether we'd like to or not. It can be adapted.
Napkins, the movie.
Coming out 2018. Make it happen, Sony.
Yeah, you can do it. You like wasting your money.
Yeah, you guys sank both Ghostbusters and Spider-Man.
Yeah, you're kind of pieces of crap.
But you made it back with the Emoji Movie because everybody went and saw it.
Even though it was really just substandard.
It was average.
Yeah.
With Captain Underpants, the plot is two kids, George and Harold. They're going to school together, and they're troublemakers. And eventually this leads to their principal, who's this mean-spirited dude called Mr. Krupp, who wants to put them into separate classes in order to annihilate their friendship.
And displacing it just like that in the most cartoonishly over-the-top way possible.
Yeah, but I adored that.
Yeah.
I really, like, I don't know if you noticed, like, how good the animation is in that one scene alone.
Yeah, with the lighting and such as on his face, just doing like monster style, just like, I want to annihilate your friendship.
That, the fact that, like, there are very nuanced, like, ticks to his emotions. Like, when he laughs, he goes, I'm gonna annihilate your friendship. And it's very quick, but he bites his bottom lip in like, giddy anticipation at the idea of ruining the lives of these kids.
Yeah, or just like really quick, subtle movements to it that basically just add a lot to it. Like, that's what DreamWorks really did well with this movie. It really did take, like, what was on the paper and such and basically just bring it to, like, pure, colorful light.
Yeah, I really think animation-wise, this movie is one of their best films. Like, it's strange because the art style of the Captain Underpants looks like it's drawn by, like, little kids, so it's an interesting idea where it's like, how do you convey something like that to a film?
Yeah.
And the thing is, they still incorporate that art style into the movie at some points, and they even incorporate other styles like flash animations involved at one point, and even puppetry.
Yeah, it just goes all over the map, and it really does all blend together. Because it is just sort of like what Captain Underpants like originally was, sort of like the exploration of a child's imagination.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that you have to go into this movie with the mindset of, like, imagine if kids were doing this.
Yeah, imagine if this was a movie entirely written by kids, and not by an entire group of 40-something-year-old white men.
Yes, who might have kids.
They may have saw them, like, one time.
That's a kid over there. That's good enough. I understand children.
Yeah.
But, like, that's the thing, is that, so you have these kids and their principal, and at one point, they are going to be separated into two different classrooms. And, of course, when you're a child, the idea of being separated from your friend, let alone your best friend, it's scary.
Yeah, it's world-shattering. So, George gets a hypno ring and decides to basically use that on Mr. Crump, which turns out to be super susceptible to hypnotism.
You know, there's a belief that if you're susceptible to hypnotism, you're probably an idiot.
Well, he's definitely an idiot.
Yeah, he is an elementary school principal, just saying.
And he runs it horribly.
Well, he runs it like a dictator, like he's really tyrannical and the kids are afraid of him.
Yeah, and the teachers hate him as well.
Yeah, and the teachers hate him as well. So, like, they ended up hypnotizing him, and he believes he's Captain Underpants, but he doesn't have any superpowers. He's just basically this big bald dude in a pair of underpants and a cape.
Yeah, and he's just running around terrorizing everybody by being basically a nudist. And so
he's covered enough.
Yeah. Well, that would do. Yeah, covered enough. He's just wearing underwear, man. Come on.
Yeah, but I mean...
well, he is smoothed and they're just like the animals in Zootopia in that nudist colony.
They didn't even have buttholes.
Yeah,
I know it's a weird thing to get hung up on, but...
They're Disney animals, Nero. They don't poop. They never poop.
Can't wait till Disney makes, like, an adaptation then, like, everybody minds their own business and goes about their day. Oh!
Yeah. Did you see Mickey Mouse just go into the bathroom and he just sits there, just doing nothing?
Maybe he whistles the Steamboat Willie theme and that's it.
Yeah. Just thinks, oh, that was nice.
So the idea then goes from, like, the kids, you know, they kind of have control over their principal, and eventually that leads to a small, like a diminutive mad scientist showing up at their school, and he takes over as their science teacher because Principal Krupp fired the other one because the other one wanted to spend time with his family.
A horrible teacher that guy is.
What a prick. That teacher spending time with his family. What an ass.
An ass, not like
Ass.
Mr. P, or as he is quickly known as Mr. Poopy Butthole. Oh, no, not Mr. Poopy Butthole.
That's Rick and Morty.
I don't know. Poopy Pants. I don't know why. Yeah, I connected the two as Poopy Butthole.
Because they both have terrible childish names.
Yeah.
And Professor Poopy Pants, or by his full name, Professor P.P. Diarrheastein Poopy Pants Esquire.
Yes, yes.
Man, that does sound like something a child would make.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's the thing. Like, it's like he is a diminutive little mad scientist who, after being laughed out of like the scientific community for his
Name?
just his name, and apparently his name is actually like a legit name used in the country he's from.
Yeah. It's like everyone's just being a dick to him.
Yeah, like everyone's just being he creates a device. He creates a ray gun that could shrink things and grow things. Think like Ant-Man from the Marvel movies. Like how the Pym particle can make something go subatomic, or a Pym particle can make things go gigantic.
Or Honey, I Shrunk Your Kids.
Yeah, same principle.
Yeah.
And the idea is that he created basically this fucking piece of science that could change everything. It could stop world hunger, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And what happens instead is that he gets laughed out of the scientific community, and it basically mentally broke him because he was a scientific genius that was mocked for doing something so groundbreaking. And then he spent the majority of his life trying to dissect the human brain to cut out people's ability to find humor. Because he didn't want to be mocked ever again, which is
Yeah.
that's actually a very believable supervillain origin story. As a guy who reads comic books, it's not that ridiculous. Like, dude, freaking Wonder Woman has a villain called Cheetah, and in like the Golden Age, Wonder Woman showed up at like a dinner party, and everyone was ignoring the other rich girl, and she's like, "This Wonder Woman bitch get all the attention. Fuck her!" And she dressed in a cheetah costume and went after her, and that's the origin story. Because some attention whore was like upset.
Yeah, I think she was going to become a supervillain anyways.
Yeah, like it's like, yeah, you're probably on the road to evil regardless. It really, Wonder Woman being there is just inconsequential. You're just trying to put blame on something at that point.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like Professor Poopy Butthole's a very very camp kind of villain. Yeah, he's a camp supervillain.
Yeah. Yeah, a super campy one. Like, probably the best part of the movie for me is Mr. Poopy Pants. Because just sort of like Lord Boxman from OKKO that we just talked about, he is taken to such a degree where he's just so over the top that he becomes really engaging by being so humorous.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that it's part of that camp mentality. What I really like about this, and it's something I think that's really smart on DreamWorks' part, is that they clearly wanted to start banking on the superhero craze that's growing in our pop culture and film. Marvel is sweeping the market in terms of their film properties.
Not DC though.
DC would like to think they are, because when you have a film with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and it's so divisive that people actually criticized of how those characters act nothing like they should, and then you murder one of them off all for a publicity stunt. Yeah, even though you have the big team movie coming out after.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, no, DC's handling this like a bunch of fucking D-titties. Whereas, like, the only other ones that really have something that they kind of need to prove at this point is, like, probably Image. Hasn't gotten any of their characters out there. There was a Spawn movie once upon a time, and Todd McFarlane, it says there's going to be another one. I don't really care either way, because Spawn sucks, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see, I guess. They're going to do another Hellboy. I know, that's Dark Horse. They want to remake The Mask.
Okay.
And they want to make it dark, like the comic books. They don't want it to be like the Jim Carrey one, where it was fun. Yeah, they want to make it gory and violent, like the comic book. But, like, basically Marvel's owning it. The only other one I think vaguely is not even close in terms of popularity, but is also giving it a shot, is on YouTube, oh god, I can't remember the company. They did Armstrong and Archer and Armstrong.
Okay.
And they're indie. They're like a tight knit indie company. They did like Exo Man of War. God, their properties are so forgettable.
So they're doing a really great job.
Well, the thing is, they're not like, okay. The big three are DC, Marvel, and Image. then that follows up with Dark Horse, because Dark Horse and Image are indie, but Image was founded by a bunch of Marvel people.
Right.
So they sort of earned the clout because in the 90s they blew up. That's how Rob Liefeld is so fucking famous, is like a lot of his shit over at Image. Mm-hmm. Whereas like, yeah, the other studio whose name escapes me right now, and I'm sure someone will drop it in the comments long after this video is posted.
Yeah, definitely.
But like the whole thing is like, Marvel's owning it, and it's really clever that DreamWorks was like, well, we kind of want to get some of that. We want to get some of that superhero money. What do we like? Yeah. Are there any superhero properties?
Yeah, let's make an excuse to basically do a superhero movie. And like, what's a quirky thing that'll just basically draw the eyes?
Yeah, because you don't want to just do an origin story.
Yeah, no. And you want to basically find a property that's basically just eye-catching enough to basically a lot of people will know, and people who don't know will see it and just like, that sounds so weird. Mm-hmm. So, Captain Underpants.
Yeah, it's like parents who just want to take their kids to see something that they'll enjoy. The kids will probably like this. But even as an adult, I really enjoyed this. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought, I'm like everybody else, man. Like, I thought this was going to be dumb.
Yeah, I really thought it was going to be dumb, which probably colored my first impressions of the movie when I initially saw it. I'll openly say I may have been a little bit too biased against it. But I did still enjoy this movie, like, entirely, because it is just sort of like what we said before. It is basically like stepping to, like, a movie basically developed by children. It's the world of a child's imagination, and it's just trying to be that stupid silliness and all that, with all this,
that's the thing,
stupid
like,
fart and burping jokes and such.
I don't want people to sit and think like, oh, so it's like that argument we always hear where it's like, oh, so it's just for kids. Well, no, that's the thing. It's more like the worldview from a child's perspective, but at the same time, it's got some really clever adult jokes that are going to hilariously fly over a kid's head.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel that is the movie's biggest strength. Because it isn't necessarily like, oh, it's for kids, so it's just good enough. No, it's a movie from a viewpoint of a child that can entertain both children and adults, if you're into that sort of mindset.
Yeah, like, we're not going to tell you, like, oh, the humor isn't immature. No, the humor's very immature.
It's very blunt about that. It tells you right up front it's going to be that sort of movie.
Oh, yeah, well, the fact that, like, is it at the end where they flat out mention, like, oh, yeah, it is, because Principal Krupp, when he has that heel face turn with the kids at the end and he gives them back their comic books he confiscated, he does mention them where he's like, I read them, and despite being, juvenile in the lowest form of humor, I mean, come on, potty humor, and he goes, that said, they're actually kind of funny.
Yeah, and that is just
that's the movie and the books.
Yeah, that's a perfect encapsulation of the movie and the books. Like, as a book form, I didn't really like it because sort of like the aesthetic of the whole art style basically just sort of pushed me out of the world. As a movie, though, it works a lot better. Because along with that sort of childish art style, that basically more pushes towards, like, George and Harold's friendship. One's the artist, one's the writer, and then they just basically collaborate together, basically make these creative little comics. It's showing more of a friendship between them.
And the funny thing is, it's still an origin story, because Principal Krupp does get superpowers.
Yeah.
And he does become a superhero eventually.
Yeah, so it's basically more like the origin story of George and Harold as sort of like the actual heroes of the situation. Yeah.
The superhero story and the supervillain rise of evil. That's the B plot.
Yeah, the A plot is George and Harold and how they basically come into the situation and how they basically get thrown into it due to their own childishness.
And I dig that. I actually really dig the angle they do with the kids. You did mention to me when that like Kevin Hart as George and Thomas Middleditch as Harold. You said like, I don't know, they feel like adults playing kids to me as opposed to being kids.
Their voices to me really come off as just like, they sound a little bit more mature than an actual child would be. Like, you do have great lines and such. I feel like after a while I can just be like, okay, I'm gonna push those thoughts down. On a dialogue perspective, they really just nail both characters. They're childish little boys just doing their childish little thing. But the voices are a little bit more mature than I would like.
I totally get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I do agree with you that there's that sense of like, I don't know, it does sound like adults kind of playing kids. But if you went like full on maybe kid actors, it probably would have been insufferable to sit through.
Yeah, they would need to be like top tier child actors to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you would need to get like the kids from like Stranger Things or something to play these characters.
Yeah.
I would argue the two standouts of this have to be Ed Helms as Captain Underpants and Principal Krupp, and Nick Kroll as Professor Poopy Pants. Nick Kroll, by the way, Nick, no joke, dude, you've been on a serious like rise as a voice actor. You were good in this. You were great in the Sausage Party movie as Douche.
Yeah.
You're really getting around. I really hope you'll continue to do voice acting as a career choice.
Yeah. Yeah, really. On just any sort of level, those two roles are basically the highlights of the movie. Ed Helms as Captain Underpants is beautiful. Like when he becomes Captain Underpants, he just gets that pompousness to it. It's like tra-la-la. Like it really feels like Captain Underpants.
That's the thing too. Is like Ed Helms is playing two characters. Because Principal Krupp is nothing like Captain Underpants. He literally has to change his persona at the snap of a finger to go between a curmudgeonous, bitter, middle-aged man to a boisterous, kind-hearted superhero. And that shows like range to him as an actor. Right. And I think people don't seem to realize this. And it's funny because I remember seeing a review where someone brought up the Dick Donner Superman film, and you have to watch Chris Reeve go from mild-mannered, meek, and kind of timid Clark Kent to strong, dependent, compassionate Superman. And now we have like these new age of movies where it's like, if you really look at the Marvel films, their characters don't change. Captain America, Steve Rogers, there's no difference.
Yeah.
Like Chris Evans is the same whether he's Steve Rogers or he's in the Captain America uniform. And I don't think people realize now, and I think it's a prime example in the DC movies where it's like Henry Cavill is just a bland, mopey sob, whether he's Clark Kent or he's Superman. And it's cool that this kind of goes back to form where it's like, people don't seem to realize that when it came to like a superhero in terms of like secret identity, there had to be a divide between the identities. That's how you cast the illusion that you can't put the person together. That's why it's like billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne. He's pompous, he's arrogant. You would never expect this guy to be frickin' Batman of all people.
Yeah, the brooding guy's just like, everyone get away from me. I hate you all.
Yeah, well, that's terrible. That's terrible Batman writing. Good Batman writing, he's just quiet and is like reserved.
Well, still, when we have Bruce Wayne, it's just like, oh yeah, look at me with all my money and such, going out to all the parties and all that. Like,
yeah, even the Lego movie failed to do that.
Yeah.
No, not the Lego movie. The Lego Batman movie failed to do that because he's still an arrogant prick, whether he's Batman or Bruce Wayne. In the Lego movie, when he plays it as Bruce Wayne, he plays it up as like the suave billionaire playboy, and like no Batman bleeds into that.
Yeah, there is a clear divide to it, even though he's still like the same doofusy Batman.
Yeah,
like,
and I think that's the thing Ed Helms needs to get recognition for in that regard, where it's like, you really had to step up your game because you had to play both the idea of a curmudgeonly, embittered principal, but at the same time, literally at the snap of a finger, because that's how they initiate the hypnosis. When they snap their finger, he has to become Captain Underpants. He has to be optimistic and outgoing and friendly and compassionate and, all about going out and helping people. His character has to completely, entirely change. And as an actor, there is a strain to do that because you have to switch entire personalities of how you're in the mindset of playing a certain character. Mm-hmm. Because he's playing Krupp, and Krupp is really different. Krupp is angry and embittered, and the fact that it's like you have to be in that mindset of to capture that character to emote properly, and then you have to flip. You have to be happy now. You have to be cheerful. You have to be energetic. Yeah. That takes a lot of work.
There's one clear scene that really just highlights this sort of fact, and it was shown off in the trailer, so it was basically ruined, but it was basically them in the treehouse, and basically just splashing water on Krupp's face, basically reverting him back and forth from Captain Underpants to Krupp. Just like, tra-la-la, What's going on? Shut up! What the fuck? No! And it just flips back and forth just like that.
Yeah, and that to me is like that's a show of Ed Helms' skill, and of course Nick Kroll. It's not that his character is really that deep or anything, but my God, did he make a fun, memorable villain with Professor P? Because the idea that he plays him up exactly like an old-fashioned, stereotypical German mad scientist character.
Yeah, exactly. And he feels self-aware of that as well. Like, he knows what he is, and he knows what he comes across.
Yeah, like, that's the brilliance of it. The side characters are fine, but no one really stood out too much. I guess they were trying to make Jordan Peele as Melvin Sneedley, the little ass-kiss character.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just more of like just a plot tool in a sense.
Yeah. If anything, he's more annoying than anything else.
I think he was definitely supposed to come across as annoying.
Like that was an intentional trope, like he was supposed to be annoying?
Yeah, just like the annoying little ass-kisser and tattletale.
Well, they mentioned that too, don't they? Isn't there a part where Harold just goes, "Ugh, you're so unbelievably annoying." Like, he just flat out says it.
So like, oh, you're so unbelievably annoying. Then they get captured by Poopy Pants. Like,
well, there's like the part too. Remember when like Poopy Pants first comes into the classroom, and Melvin says something, and he goes, "Oh, good, look, we have a grade A suck-up."
Yeah.
Like, even he points out, like, look at this little shit right here.
So I know exactly what you are.
I want to ask you.
Yeah.
You know, we went in and we were like, no. But we came out. Where do you reward this? Where do you put it on our scale?
I would say it's a good watch. I don't feel that this is a must-watch sort of territory because I don't feel it's like for a wide audience sort of thing. Like, it's definitely for a specific audience that's into a sort of movie where you can really just shut off your brain to this sort of like childlike sort of world that you be opened up into. Like, there is some bits of writing that were a little bit just sort of like off point for me. Like, from a narrative perspective, an adult sort of movie, there's that whole sort of logic of like George and Harold being really split up into two different classrooms, even though after school they can see each other. Just like, oh, hey George, hey Harold, let's go do comics still.
Yeah.
Like, I would have just done the slight change of it, just like, we're going to split you up, then at the end of the year, one of you's being expelled to another school.
Yeah, but the idea that, you know, with a kid being separated from their best friend, like, that's the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally get that. That's just still my sticking point every time I see this movie. Just like, it just still sounds so contrived in a sense for why they would get so mad. Like, these two kids should be thinking like, okay, what can we do in this? Like, what can we do if the worst case scenario happens? It's like, oh, we can do this, we can do that. Like, I would feel they would want to like plan every sort of consistency sort of thing. Like, thinking at the end of the world and all that. Because I feel like these characters are a little bit smarter than that.
But, yeah, but that's the thing, though, is you have to remember they're fourth graders, too. So, yeah. I mean, smart, yes, but
still silly fourth graders.
Still silly fourth graders. I have to agree with you where I would give it a good watch. Because the thing is, I do think it does sort of captures a more imaginative than I think we've seen in recent animated films. Like, we saw, was it Trolls this year?
Yeah.
And that was just fucking abysmal.
That's an understatement.
You know, we saw Sing, also abysmal.
Yeah, at least it was a slightly better musical than Trolls.
Fucking, I will debate with you. Sing isn't a musical because it's only in the opening and closing of the movie.
At least it does something different than all the other movies. Just like 5 minutes later, song.
Yeah, well, it's not the My Little Pony movie that we did then.
Yeah.
But I would agree with you that I think it is a good watch. I think there is like a niche maybe market for this, but I think for a person like me who even as a kid snubbed the books, thought it was just too ridiculous, and just too lowbrow. I think that like as an adult, the fact that I was able to enjoy it, it can really hit that market. I have had friends who have seen this movie and have told me that they kind of feel bad because they snubbed the book material so quickly, but they said seeing the movie, it's like there's some kind of childish wonder to it.
Yeah.
That it's just, you know, it's ridiculous, it's, you know, quirky, you could argue that, it might be considered cliche, but I felt like it came off fairly imaginative.
Yeah.
And I kind of would dig if they would go and make more movies based on the books from this. Like, they did pretty good money. 38 mil budget with a box office of 119.
Well, this is DreamWorks after all. They're the sequel-making machine.
Yeah, sequels and TV shows, that's what they do. But the fact that it's like 38 mil on an animated film budget, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
Because like Disney drops like a 100 plus in the mil department on their films.
Yeah, that's sort of why I feel like DreamWorks is like sort of the king of animated movies right now. Like, they're able to experiment, they're able to like put smart money into their movies and come out with much more of a wide variety of stuff. Even when it doesn't work with like Home and all that, when they have bombs and such, at least they make more interesting bombs.
Yeah, at least they're trying to get out of the idea of like, there's a girl who wants more and she has an animal sidekick. And she's probably royalty, because princesses sell.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. At least now with DreamWorks and Captain Underpants, we can see more of the imagination that DreamWorks can show for people. And I do hope as well that we see a sequel in some sense. Like, there's dozens of other Captain Underpants books, so it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, and it's cool because they have even more antagonists and supervillains. So you can hire other brilliant comedians like Nick Kroll to come and portray these characters, and I would like to see that. I would like to see what else they can do.
Yeah, I would see that. I would just sort of question like what they would want to like do as sort of like the moral of that movie, because right now I'm not sure what they could do at this point.
Well, let me ask you the simple question then: does it really need a moral, or could it just be a fun, entertaining romp?
Well, this was still a fun, entertaining romp, but there was still like an idea behind.
Oh yeah, no, there was.
That's sort of what I meant. Like in this one, there was the sort of the threat of their friendship being split up and such, and laughter basically being the thing that connects them. What's going to be that going to be in the next movie?
Hey,
then?
take a note there, WBDC producers. Humor connects us all together. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. Stop making shit movies of our superheroes and make them fun again.
Yeah, there's a thing called levity. It helps improve the drama.
Well, imagine if like Captain Underpants was like dark and morbid and morose like the Superman movie.
I almost would like to see that just to see what they would do.
Well, like, imagine that. It's like, you have to take Captain Underpants seriously. The guy's called Superman. He wears a singlet, for Christ's sake, and wears a cape.
And that's Captain Underpants. Half his body is covered in an underpants.
Yeah, like how serious do you want this nonsense to be? Shit, at least Marvel Ant-Man. Well, we all know that getting you here at all is in and of itself a miracle, so let's see what we can do.
Yeah, just be stupid, like have them ride ants and all that. We're not going to take this seriously. We're not going to even keep our science consistent.
Yeah, that's why, like, you have the weight of a man, but I could stand on the end of a gun and not cause a guy to face plant to the ground.
I'm carrying a whole tank in my pocket.
Look, man, do you want to watch the fucking movie about the guy who shrinks or not? No, I want to see the movie about the guy who shrinks. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, then watch it then. God, you really are fun.
See? You need a suspension of disbelief. Hence why when we watch this, so a guy can get thrown into a giant toilet kaiju, that's a thing,
yeah, and
then swallow the toilet water and get superpowers. Okay.
Well, it was glowing green, like radioactivity. It's just like,
that's true.
It makes me feel a little bit sick just imagining that. I know it's not what they were going for. It's just like, drinking toilet water, gross.
But there you go, guys. That was Captain Underpants. It's surprisingly good. It has some pretty intelligent humor from time to time, but it's also unbelievably immature as well.
Yeah, it's super imaginative. And for us, we feel even like non-fans of the book can't actually see the imagination that was sort of lacking when we first originally read the books. Because at least with this movie, it can envelop you in the atmosphere of it.
Yeah. So we do appreciate you guys for stopping by. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit that bell for notification. If you guys want, you can also support us through Patreon or TeePublic. Links are in the description below. Using those services, purchasing shirts or just supporting us on Patreon or hiring us for like graphic design or video editing work does help our channel to continue to thrive and grow. You can also support us via VidMe, because VidMe is the service. It's basically like old school YouTube before YouTube turned into, well, YouTube now, as we treat it as. Which is hilarious. That name, like YouTube, used to mean something. Now we treat it as a joke.
Yeah, it's business tube now.
Yeah, it's business tube there. If you're one of the big channels, you're fine. If you're one of the lesser channels, go fuck yourself. So you can go to our website, ToonGrin.com, and on there, any videos of ours that might go missing because YouTube is YouTube and YouTube does what YouTube does, you can still support us by going to our website and checking out stuff through VidMe. That'll help support us in any way we can. We want to move VidMe up to be the new big video content producer. We want to give content back to the creators. We want to make it that you're able to enjoy all sorts of creative content from all sorts of people. Yeah, we understand the importance of ads and everything, and we're not saying get rid of them by any means.
Yeah, of
but
course,
we're
that
saying
doesn't
that
make any sense to do that.
yeah, like that's how you make money. But like at the same time, there also needs to be an understanding of content creators, guys like us, like Markiplier, like Jacksepticeye, like Jim Sterling. These are individuals who, you know, we're trying to make our livelihood off of doing these videos, this content for you, keeping stuff fresh and new and enjoyable, and hopefully on a weekly basis as much as possible. In order to do that, we need support from people like you.
Yep, exactly. And we'd just like to thank you for all the support that you've given us so far, and just come along on this journey as we continue to grow.
Yep. So with that said, guys, as always, remember, be sure to tune in.
To ToonGrin.
Enjoy Captain Underpants.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. That stupid, stupid book series.